Welcome, friends. Tonight, we drift back in time, not to castles and kings, but to the forgotten edges of medieval life. In the shadows of grand cathedrals and behind the towering city gates, another world quietly struggled to survive. It was a world without warmth, without shelter, and often without mercy. A world inhabited by the homeless of medieval Europe. There were no streetlights, no warm soup kitchens, no government safety nets. If you had no land, no family, and no place to rest your head, you became a wanderer in a cold and dangerous world. Each day was a battle against hunger, sickness, and suspicion. Each night brought the sharp bite of winter air and the fear of thieves, rats, or worse. But these people were not all criminals or outcasts. Many were victims of war, of famine, of noble greed. Some were children, some were old. All were invisible to the history books, passed over in favor of lords and knights. And yet their lives, quietly desperate, often heartbreaking, tell us more about the soul of the Middle Ages than 1,000 royal chronicles ever could. So settle in, breathe deep, and let's step into the worn shoes of those who had nowhere to go. Their story, though difficult, deserves to be told.
Waking up under a bridge. The first thing you know is the cold. It is not a sudden shock, but a deep, settled presence that has been your companion through the dark hours. It lives in your bones, a dull ache that greets you before conscious thought. The ground beneath you is a tapestry of discomfort, damp earth, sharp pebbles, and the unyielding hardness of stone. You feel it through the thin layers of what you call your bedding, which is really just a collection of rags, perhaps an old sackcloth you found discarded by a mill. The dampness has seeped into the fabric, and now it seeps into you, a chilling embrace that promises stiffness and pain. You didn't truly sleep. You drifted in and out of a shallow, shivering state of half-consciousness, a place where dreams are just fragmented fears and memories of warmth. To have slept deeply would have been a luxury, but also a danger. True sleep means you are aware of the scuttling of rats near your head, or the slow, heavy tread of the night watchman on the bridge far above. Survival is a lighter state of rest. You open your eyes, but there is little to see. The world under the stone arch is a realm of deep gray and black. The only light is a faint pearlescent glow at either end of your tunnel, where the night is beginning to surrender to the dawn. The air is thick with the smell of wet river mud, decaying leaves, and the faint, sour scent of your own unwashed body. You can hear the river, a constant, gentle murmur. It is a sound that is neither friendly nor hostile. It is simply there, a timeless witness to your brief and troubled existence. It was here long before you, and it will be here long after. Sometimes, in the deepest hours of the night, you listen to its song and imagine it is washing away your sorrow, carrying it downstream to a sea you will never visit. But now, in the waking hour, it is just water, cold and indifferent. Slowly, you try to move. Every joint protests. Your fingers are numb, curled into a stiff claw. You force them to uncurl one by one. The sensation of pins and needles a fiery announcement that blood is returning to them. You push yourself up onto one elbow, a low groan escaping your chapped lips. The sound is swallowed by the vast, empty space under the bridge. No one hears it. No one is meant to. You are a secret, a shadow tucked away in the forgotten corners of the world. To be seen in a place like this, at an hour like this, is to invite suspicion, or worse, violence. A bridge is a good place to hide because it is a place of transit. People are focused on crossing, on getting from one side to the other. They rarely look down. They rarely think about the life, or lack thereof, that shelters in its foundations. This is the luck of it, the profound, soul-deep invisibility that is both your curse and your shield. Your breath comes out in a white plume, a ghost of your own life force in the frigid air. You watch it for a moment, this fragile proof of your existence. You are still breathing. That is the victory of the night. You survived. That is all you asked for, and it is all that was granted. There is no joy in this victory, only a weary resignation and the knowledge that the struggle begins anew with the light. The day will bring its own challenges: hunger, the cold that gnaws even under the sun, the hard stares of the townsfolk, and the constant pressing need to move on. But for now, in this quiet, suspended moment between night and day, there is only the cold, the damp, and the slow, painful process of waking up. You run a hand over your face. The stubble is rough, caked with dirt. Your skin feels tight and papery. You are thirsty, a deep, aching thirst that makes your tongue feel thick and heavy in your mouth. The river is just a few feet away, but you know better than to drink from it so close to the town. The water here carries the waste of the tannery, the dyer, the butcher. It carries sickness. Later, when you are on the road again, you might find a clean stream. For now, the thirst will have to wait. It is one of the many discomforts you have learned to carry. You sit up fully now, your back pressed against the cold, weeping stone of the bridge's pillar. You pull your rags tighter around your shoulders, a futile gesture against the pervasive chill. From here you can see the sky beginning to change. The gray is softening, tinged with a faint, bruised purple and a hint of pale gold at the horizon. The town is still asleep, but it will not be for long. Soon you will hear the first sounds of life: a distant rooster, the creak of a shutter, the clang of a blacksmith's hammer greeting the day. Those are the sounds of a world you are no longer a part of. You are an observer, a ghost, at the edge of the living. A rat, emboldened by the stillness, scurries past your feet. You do not flinch. You have grown accustomed to their company. They, like you, are survivors, living on the scraps and forgetfulness of others. They do not judge you. They do not see you as a vagrant or a sinner. They see only a fellow creature seeking warmth and sustenance in a hard world. In their small black eyes, you find a strange, silent kinship. The light grows stronger, chasing the deepest shadows from under the arch. It is time to go. To linger here is to risk being discovered by the first travelers of the day or by a bailiff making his rounds. You must gather your few belongings and yourself and merge with the margins of the world before it is fully awake. You survived the night. Now you must survive the day. It is a simple, relentless cycle, the rhythm of your life. And so, with a sigh that is more air than sound, you begin.
Your only belongings are rags and rope. You begin the ritual of gathering your world. It is a swift and silent process, for your world is very small. It consists of the clothes on your back, a few extra pieces of cloth, and a length of sturdy rope. These are not possessions in the way a merchant owns his wares or a farmer owns his land. They are tools for survival, extensions of your own body, as essential as your hands and feet. They have no value to anyone but you, and yet to you, they are everything. Your primary garment is a tunic, or what was once a tunic. Now it is a patchwork of faded colors, mostly browns and grays, stitched together with thread you pulled from a discarded sack. It is too large in some places and too tight in others, having belonged to at least 3 other men before it found its way to you. You do not know their stories, But you feel their presence in the worn-out elbows and the faint, lingering smells of sweat and wood smoke that even the rain cannot wash away. The fabric is coarse, wool, you think, or a blend of wool and something rougher. It scratches your skin, a constant low-level irritation that you have long since stopped noticing. It provides a meager layer of insulation against the cold. But when it gets wet, it becomes a heavy, chilling shroud, clinging to you like a second, colder skin. Beneath the tunic, you wear what might have once been called brays or breeches. They're tattered at the knees and frayed at the ankles, offering little protection from the wind or the thorns of the underbrush. They are held up not by a belt of fine leather, but your most valuable possession, the rope. It is a good length of rope, thick and strong. You found it near the docks in a town 3 weeks' walk from here, likely fallen from a cart. It is your belt, your tool, your line. With it, you can tie your few belongings into a bundle. You can lower yourself down a steep embankment to a hidden water source. You can secure a loose branch to create a makeshift shelter against the rain. At night, you have sometimes wondered if it could also be an escape, a final release from the endless walk. But you push that thought away. The rope is for living, for now. Over the tunic, you wear another layer, a sort of cloak made from what you suspect was once a horse blanket. It is heavy, stiff, and smells faintly of hay and animal sweat. It is your best defense against the wind and the rain. It is also your blanket at night, your pillow, your wall against the world. It is riddled with small holes, and you have spent countless hours mending them with clumsy stitches, using sinew you peeled from a discarded bone. Each patch is a memory of a cold night, a sudden downpour, a moment of small, quiet industry. The cloak bears the stains of the road, mud, grass, berry juice, and a darker, rust-colored stain from a time you cut your hand and had nothing else to stop the bleeding. On your feet, you have rags. You have not owned shoes for a year, not since your last pair gave up their soles to a long, muddy road. Now you wrap your feet in strips of cloth, securing them with thinner cords of twine. It is a poor substitute. The stones still bruise your heels, the frozen ground still leaches the warmth from your soles, and the dampness always finds a way in. Your feet are a road map of your journey, crisscrossed with scars, calluses, and sores that never quite seem to heal. Every step is a small act of endurance. You have learned to walk in a certain way, a shuffling gait that minimizes the impact, testing the ground before you commit your full weight. It is the walk of the perpetually wounded, the walk of the wanderer. You have one other item tucked into a small leather pouch that hangs from your rope belt. The pouch itself is a marvel, the one piece of craftsmanship you own. It is cracked and faded, but the stitching is still tight. Inside, there is a small, smooth stone you picked up from a riverbed long ago, and a flint and steel. The flint is small, a shard of its former self, but it can still spark. The steel is a small, worn nub. These are your hope for fire, for warmth, for a cooked meal if you are ever lucky enough to find something to cook. Fire is a dangerous luxury. A fire can be seen from a great distance, attracting the wrong kind of attention. You use it only when you are deep in the woods, far from any road or settlement, and even then you keep it small, a brief, flickering prayer against the cold. You take the rags that served as your pillow and add them to the small bundle you carry. You wrap it all in your horse blanket cloak and tie it securely with the rope. You sling the bundle over your shoulder.
It is not heavy, but its weight is a constant reminder of your state. It is the weight of all you have, the weight of your rootlessness. A man with a home does not need to carry his world on his back. A man with a home has a bed, a table, a roof. You have a bundle of rags and a length of rope. You look around the space under the bridge one last time. You leave nothing behind because you have nothing to leave. You are a ghost, passing through. You have taken nothing but shelter, and you leave nothing but the faint impression of your body in the damp earth, an impression that the next rain will wash away completely. It is as if you were never here. This is the truth of your existence. You move through the world, but you leave no mark. You are unwritten, unrecorded, a whisper in the long, loud history of men. And so, with your world on your shoulder, you step out from the shadows of the bridge and into the pale, uncertain light of the morning.
Townsfolk look through you. The town is waking up. The air, once still and silent, now carries the sounds and smells of life. Wood smoke, sharp and comforting, curls from a dozen chimneys, a sign of fires being lit, of porridge being cooked, of warmth contained within walls. You smell baking bread, a rich, yeasty aroma that makes your empty stomach clench with a painful, hollow ache. You hear the rhythmic clang of the blacksmith's hammer on anvil, the lowing of a cow being led to pasture, the chatter of voices as people begin their day. These are the sounds of a community, a web of lives intertwined, and you are on the outside of it, a lone thread frayed and broken from the tapestry. You keep to the edges of the path, your head down, your eyes on the muddy ground in front of you. You do not want to meet anyone's gaze. A direct look can be interpreted as a challenge, an accusation, or an impertinent plea. It is better to be invisible, to be a part of the scenery, like a stray dog or a pile of rubbish. You shuffle along the wall that marks the town's edge, your movements slow and deliberate. Haste attracts attention. Haste suggests you're fleeing from something, or running towards something you intend to steal. Slowness is the gait of the defeated, the harmless, the ghost. A woman emerges from a small timber-framed house, a wooden bucket in her hand. She is heading for the well in the center of the square. She does not see you, or rather, she sees you, but she does not look at you. Her eyes slide past you, her mind already on her chores, her family, her day. To her, you are not a person. You are a problem she does not wish to have, a piece of unpleasantness to be ignored. You are a symbol of misfortune, of God's displeasure, and to acknowledge you is to risk inviting that misfortune into her own life. So she looks through you as if you are made of glass and continues on her way. You are used to this. It is a small daily cruelty, this denial of your existence, but it still stings, a tiny pinprick to the heart. You were once a man who was seen, a man who was greeted by name. Now you are a specter. You continue your slow progress toward the market square. This is where the town's life is most concentrated, and where your chances, however slim, are greatest. A group of men, apprentices by the look of their leather aprons, walk past you, laughing and shoving one another. They are young, full of life and purpose. As they pass, one of them spits on the ground near your feet. It is not aimed at you directly, but it is meant for you. It is a gesture of contempt, a way of marking his territory, of reinforcing the boundary between his world and yours. You do not react. You simply adjust your path to walk around the spittle, your face a mask of weary indifference. To show anger would be to invite a beating. To show sadness would be to invite scorn. Invisibility is your only armor. You feel their eyes on your back as you move away. You can hear their voices, a low murmur.
You know the words without hearing them. Vagrant, beggar, thief. These are the labels that have replaced your name. They are simple, easy words that strip you of your humanity, that turn you from a man who has lost his way into a threat that must be controlled. You are no longer John the farmer or Thomas the mason. You are simply vagrant, a word that means you do not belong, that you have no place, that you are less than human. A child, no older than 5, points at you from a doorway. His mother quickly pulls him back inside, her hand clamped over his mouth. She whispers something sharp to him, and the door closes with a decisive thud. The child was not looking at you with malice, but with a simple, untaught curiosity. He saw a man in rags, a man with a dirty face and a slow, shuffling walk. He saw something different, and he wanted to understand. But his mother is teaching him the lesson of the town. You do not look at such things. You do not ask questions. You pretend they are not there. And so the child learns to look through you, just like his mother, just like everyone else. The wall of invisibility is built brick by brick, generation by generation. You reach the edge of the market square. It is a hive of activity. Farmers are setting up their stalls, their carts laden with vegetables, eggs, and live chickens. Merchants are shouting their prices, their voices a cacophony of commerce. The air is thick with the smells of fresh produce, livestock, and unwashed bodies. You find a spot near the main gate, a place where many people will pass, but where you are slightly out of the main flow of traffic. You are a stone in the river, and the current of humanity must part around you. You lean against the cold stone wall, trying to make yourself as small as possible. You pull your cloak tighter, a futile attempt to hide the worst of your rags. You do not hold out a hand. Not yet. That comes later. For now, you are just waiting, observing, gauging the mood of the crowd. You watch the faces that pass you by. Some are hard and pinched with worry. Some are flushed with good health and prosperity. Some are blank, lost in their own thoughts. None of them, not one, meets your eye. You are a fixture, a piece of the architecture of poverty that they have learned to navigate around without conscious thought. You are the ghost at the feast, the silent, hungry witness to their abundance. And in their determined refusal to see you, you feel the full, crushing weight of your isolation. You are surrounded by people, yet you have never been more alone.
Begging is illegal, but necessary. The sun has climbed higher in the sky, a pale, watery disk that offers little warmth. The market is now in full swing. The noise is a constant roar, a blend of haggling, laughter, and the bleating of sheep. The smells of food are almost overwhelming. A stall near you is selling hot pies, and the scent of cooked meat and pastry tortures you. Your stomach, which had settled into a dull ache, now twists into a sharp, insistent knot. Hunger is a physical presence, a creature gnawing at your insides. It clouds your thoughts, making it hard to concentrate on anything else. It is time. You know the law. In this town, like in most others, begging is a crime. A vagrant, a sturdy beggar, is seen not as a victim of misfortune, but as a lazy and dangerous parasite. If the town bailiff sees you, he has the right to whip you, to put you in the stocks for public ridicule, or to brand you with a hot iron, a permanent mark of your status as an undesirable. The law says you should return to your place of birth or to the place you last worked. But what if that place no longer exists? What if your village was wiped out by plague, or your lord lost his lands in a war? What if you are a stranger here, and your home is 100 leagues away, a journey you could never hope to make in your current state? The law is for men who have a place. You have no place, and so you must break the law to survive. You slide down the wall, your back scraping against the rough stone, until you are kneeling on the cold, muddy ground. This is a deliberate posture. To stand and ask for alms is to be a sturdy beggar, a threat. To kneel is to be a supplicant, a poor beggar, an object of pity rather than fear. You lower your head, your eyes fixed on the dirt. You do not make a sound. You do not call out. You simply kneel, a silent, humble plea. Your presence itself is the question. A pair of fine leather boots stops in front of you. You do not look up. You can tell much by a person's footwear. These are the boots of a wealthy merchant or perhaps some minor nobleman. They are well-oiled, clean, and sturdy. You remain perfectly still, your heart pounding a slow, heavy rhythm in your chest. The man says nothing. You can feel his gaze on the top of your head. You can feel his judgment. A long moment passes. Then he scoffs, a short, sharp sound of derision. "Get a trade, you lazy dog," he mutters, and walks on. The words are like stones, but you are used to them. You do not flinch. Minutes stretch into what feels like hours. People pass by. The hems of their robes and tunics brush against you. The smell of their clean clothes, of soap and herbs, is a stark contrast to your own scent of dirt and decay. A group of women walks past, their voices high and laughing. One of them wakes a wide circle around you, pulling her skirts away as if you were contaminated, as if your poverty is a disease she could catch. You hear her whisper to her friends, and they giggle. The sound is sharp and cruel. But then, a different sound. The soft scuff of a child's worn shoe. A small shadow falls over you. You risk a glance upwards, just a flicker of your eyes. It is a young boy, perhaps 7 or 8 years old. He is not well dressed himself. His tunic is patched, his hair unkempt. He is likely the son of a poor farmer or a laborer. He holds a small, half-eaten apple in his hand. He looks at you with wide-open eyes, curious. He says nothing. He simply holds out the apple. You hesitate. To take it is to confirm your status as a beggar, but hunger is a more powerful master than pride. Slowly, you raise a trembling hand. Your fingers are caked with dirt, your nails broken and black. You take the apple from his small, clean hand. Your fingers brush against his, and he does not pull away. For a moment, there is a connection, a shared humanity. "Go on now, Tom," a woman's voice calls out, sharp but not unkind. The boy scurries away to join his mother. You look down at the apple. It is a small, bruised thing, with 2 bites already taken from it. But it is food. It is more than you had a moment ago. You resist the urge to devour it in one go. You will save it. You will make it last. You tuck it carefully into your pouch, next to the flint and the smooth stone. The small act of kindness gives you a flicker of hope, but it is a fragile thing. Not long after, a baker's apprentice, a burly youth with flour dusting his eyebrows, walks past. He is carrying a large basket of unsold bread from the morning's baking. The loaves are likely stale, destined for the pigs. He sees you kneeling there. A sneer twists his lips. "Here's your alms, wretch," he says, and with a flick of his wrist, he throws a hard, stale crust on the muddy ground in front of you. It lands in a puddle of filthy water. He laughs, a loud, brutish sound, and walks on, pleased with his own wit. You stare at the crust of bread floating in the brown water. The hunger inside you screams to pick it up, to wipe it off, to eat it. But your body will not move. The humiliation is a physical thing, a sickness that rises in your throat. This is the price of begging. It is not just the risk of punishment from the law. It is the constant grinding erosion of your soul. It is the knowledge that your survival depends on the whims of others, on their charity or their cruelty. Sometimes they offer you a crust, and sometimes they offer you a kick. And you never know which one is coming. You kneel in the mud, a silent testament to the thin, fragile line between mercy and contempt. The bread slowly sinks into the filth, and you are left with nothing but the bitter taste of shame.
A church may offer alms or judgment.
The market is no longer a place of opportunity, only one of pain. The smell of food is a torment, the laughter of the crowd a mockery. You must move on. There is one last place in the town that might offer something, a place that is supposed to be a sanctuary for the poor and the broken, the church. You rise slowly to your feet, your knees aching from the cold ground, and begin the slow shuffle towards the stone steeple that rises above the rooftops. The church stands in the center of its own grounds, a space of relative quiet amidst the bustle of the town. The building itself is imposing, made of solid, well-cut stone, a testament to the power and wealth of God, or at least of his representatives on earth. The large wooden doors are slightly ajar, an invitation of sorts. You hesitate at the entrance. To enter the house of God in your state feels like a profanity. You are filthy, ragged, a creature of the mud and the road. The church is a place of clean stone, polished wood, and holy silence. You feel as though your very presence will stain it. But the need is greater than the shame. You slip through the door, as quiet as a mouse. The air inside is dramatically different. It is cool, but not the damp, biting cold of the outside. It is a still, heavy coolness, thick with the smell of old stone, melting beeswax, and the sweet, cloying scent of incense. The light is dim, filtered through high, narrow windows of colored glass that cast jewel-toned patterns on the stone floor. The silence is profound, broken only by the distant, muffled sounds of the town and the faint echo of your own soft footsteps. For a moment, you just stand there, allowing the peace of the place to wash over you. It is a rare and precious thing. In this space, you can almost forget the hunger, the cold, the constant, wearying walk. You can almost feel human again. You look up at the vaulted ceiling, at the carved wooden figures of saints and angels who stare down with serene, painted faces. They seem to exist in a world beyond suffering, a world of eternal grace. You wonder if they see you, if they care about the small, wretched creature standing on their floor. Your eyes are drawn to the altar, where a few candles flicker, their flames small and steady in the still air. You feel a pull, a forgotten instinct, to kneel and pray. But what would you pray for? For food? For warmth? For an end to your suffering? The words feel hollow, inadequate. You have prayed before, in the depths of winter, in the grip of fever, and your prayers have gone unanswered. Perhaps God, like the townsfolk, looks through you. A sound from the side of the church makes you freeze. A priest emerges from a small doorway, likely leading to the vestry. He is a stout man, his face clean-shaven and well-fed, his black cassock clean and unwrinkled. He carries a large leather-bound book. He does not see you at first, his attention on the altar. You press yourself against a stone pillar, trying to merge with the shadows. Your heart hammers against your ribs. The priest is a man of authority, a man who can help you or have you thrown out. His reaction will decide your fate in this place. He turns and his eyes fall upon you. He stops. His expression is not one of surprise, but of weary familiarity. He has seen men like you before, many times. He sees the rags, the dirt, the desperation in your posture. He sighs, a long, slow exhalation of breath. "What do you want here?" he asks. His voice is not unkind, but it is not warm either. It is the voice of a man doing his duty. You find your own voice, and it is a rusty, unused thing. "Alms, Father,
For the love of God. It is the traditional plea, the one you are supposed to use. The priest studies you for a long moment. His eyes travel over you, from your matted hair to your rag-wrapped feet. You feel his gaze like a physical touch, and you feel judged. He is weighing your soul, trying to decide if you are one of the deserving poor, a widow, an orphan, a man struck down by honest misfortune, or one of the undeserving, a lazy sinner, a drunkard, a man whose poverty is a result of his own moral failings. He says, "The Lord tells us to be charitable, but he also tells us that he who does not work, neither shall he eat." The devil finds work for idle hands. His words are a sermon and a warning. He is reminding you of your place, of the moral order of the world. In this order, your poverty is a side of your sinfulness. You say nothing. You just lower your head again, a gesture of submission. You are at his mercy. He sighs again, a sound of resignation. He walks back to the small door he came from and disappears for a moment. You wait, your body tense. You do not know if he has gone to fetch the bailiff or a piece of bread. He returns with a small wooden bowl. It contains a gray, lumpy porridge. It is probably the leftovers from the monastery's breakfast. He holds it out to you. "Here," he says, "eat this, and then you must be on your way. You cannot linger here. This is a house of prayer, not a flop house." You take the bowl with trembling hands. The wood is smooth and warm. The porridge smells bland, but it is food. "Thank you, Father," you murmur. "God bless you." He gives a short, sharp nod, his duty done. He says, "Go and sin no more." The traditional words of dismissal. He turns and walks away, leaving you alone with your bowl. You find a dark, secluded corner and sink to the floor. You eat the porridge with your fingers, scooping the thick, tasteless gruel into your mouth. It is warm, and it fills the aching void in your stomach. It is the most delicious thing you have ever tasted. You lick the bowl clean, not wanting to waste a single drop. The priest called you a sinner, and perhaps you are. You have stolen food to survive. You have cursed God in your despair. You have despaired, which the church says is the greatest sin of all. But as you sit there, in the house of God, with a full belly for the first time in days, you do not feel like a sinner. You just feel like a man who has been granted a small, temporary reprieve from a long and painful war. The judgment of the priest, the judgment of the world, it all fades away for a moment, replaced by the simple and profound comfort of a warm meal. It is a moment of grace, whether it comes from God or from the weary duty of a man in a black robe. You do not know, and you do not care. You are just grateful.
You walk because you're not allowed to stay. The warmth of the porridge is a fleeting comfort. It settles in your stomach, a small, precious anchor of contentment, but it cannot fight the chill that returns as soon as you step back out of the church. The priest's words echo in your mind. You cannot linger here. It is the unofficial motto of your life, the decree issued by every town, every village, every settlement you encounter. You must be on your way. To stay is to become a problem, a burden, a blight on the community. A wanderer is only tolerated as long as he is wandering away. So you walk. Your journey has no destination, only a direction, away. Away from the town that has offered you a pittance of charity and a full measure of scorn. You head for the gate opposite the one you entered, the one that leads to the open road. The town bailiff is standing there, a stout, red-faced man with a cudgel hanging from his belt. He watches you approach, his eyes narrowed with suspicion. He is the guardian of the town's peace,
and his job is to keep people like you out, or to hurry them on their way. He does not need to speak. His posture says it all. He stands with his feet planted wide, his hand resting on his weapon. It is a clear, unambiguous message. Keep moving. You do not look at him. You keep your eyes on the road ahead, that endless ribbon of mud and stone that has become your only home. You pass through the gate without incident. You can feel his eyes on your back until you have rounded the first bend in the road, until you are once again out of sight, out of his jurisdiction, and out of his mind. You are someone else's problem now. The act of walking is your entire existence. Your life is measured not in days or weeks, but in the distance between one unwelcoming place and the next. You walk from sunrise to sunset, a slow, shuffling rhythm that your body has perfected. It is a rhythm born of exhaustion and necessity. You cannot afford to walk quickly. You must conserve your energy. You cannot afford to stop for long. You risk being seen as a loiterer, a potential thief. So you maintain the steady, relentless pace of the perpetually displaced. The law of the land, the statute of laborers, is a ghost that haunts your every step. It was written by men with land and property, men who feared the chaos of a world where labor was not fixed, where people could move freely. The law states that every able-bodied man must work, and that he must not wander in search of higher wages or better opportunities. It was meant to keep the peasants tied to their land, to maintain the order of things. But for a man who has no land, no trade, no master, the law is a death sentence. It criminalizes your very existence. To be a vagrant, a masterless man, is to be an outlaw. Every step you take is an act of defiance against this law, but it is a silent, weary defiance. You are not a rebel. You have no grand political ideals. You are simply trying to survive in a world that has no place for you. You walk because the alternative is to be caught, to be whipped, to be branded, to be imprisoned. You walk because movement is a form of invisibility. A stationary target is easy to catch. A moving one is just a fleeting shape on the horizon, soon to be gone. You think of the men who wrote these laws. They sit in their warm halls, dressed in fine robes, their bellies full of roasted meat and wine. They speak of the common good and the stability of the realm. Do they ever think of the men their laws crush? Do they ever picture a man like you, with bleeding feet and an empty stomach, walking an endless road to nowhere? I suspect they do not. To them, you are not a man. You are a statistic, a problem to be managed, a line in a legal document. The road itself is a character in your story. It is your constant companion, your unyielding master. Sometimes it is a wide, well-traveled path, rutted by the wheels of merchants' carts. On these roads you are more likely to encounter other people, which is a comfort and a danger. Other times the road is a narrow, forgotten track, winding through dense forests or over barren hills. These paths are lonelier, but they are also safer. You can move for hours without seeing another soul, lost in the vast, indifferent wilderness. Today you are on a main road. A cart loaded with wool rumbles past you, the driver cracking his whip over the heads of his laboring oxen. He gives you a wide berth, his face a mask of suspicion. He clutches a small pouch at his belt, as if he expects you to leap onto his cart and rob him. The thought is absurd. You barely have the strength to walk, let alone to fight a healthy man. But your appearance, your rags and your dirt, has already convicted you in his mind. You step off the road to let him pass, your feet sinking into the soft, muddy verge. You wait until the cart is a small shape in the distance before you step back onto the hard-packed earth. This is the etiquette of the road. The road belongs to those with purpose, to those with destinations. You are just a temporary occupant, a guest who has overstayed his welcome. And so you walk. You put one foot in front of the other, again and again and again. The sun crawls across the sky. The landscape changes slowly around you, from cultivated fields to dense woodland. The town recedes behind you, becoming a memory, another name on the long list of places that have rejected you. Your mind empties. The pain in your feet becomes a dull, familiar throb. The hunger in your belly becomes a quiet ache. The world narrows to the simple, repetitive motion of your own body, moving through space, propelled by the silent, unyielding command that you are not allowed to stay.
The road is cold and long. The initial warmth from the church porridge has long since faded, a distant memory of comfort. Now the cold has returned, a familiar and unwelcome guest. It is a different kind of cold from the damp chill of the bridge. This is the cold of the open road, a clean, sharp cold carried on the wind. It finds every hole in your cloak, every tear in your tunic, every gap in the rags wrapped around your feet. It is a persistent, invasive presence, a constant reminder of your vulnerability. You have no shoes. This is perhaps the greatest of your daily hardships. The road is a brutal surface for bare or nearly bare feet. It is a landscape of small tortures. Sharp stones lie in wait, ready to bruise your soles. Hard, uneven ruts threaten to twist your ankle with every step. In the summer, the ground can be scorching hot, blistering your skin. In the winter, it is a sheet of frozen, unyielding iron, leaching the life and warmth from you with every footfall. Today, it is just cold and damp, a muddy paste that cakes your feet and ankles, adding to the weight of your steps. You have learned to read the road with your feet. You can feel the difference between solid ground and a patch of loose gravel. You can sense a hidden root or a sharp-edged rock before it does its damage. Your feet, scarred and calloused as they are, have become sensitive instruments, your primary means of navigating the dangers of your path. But they are also a constant source of pain. There is always a new cut, a fresh blister, a sore that weeps and refuses to heal. At night, when you stop to rest, you examine them in the fading light, cleaning them as best you can with a damp rag, wincing at the raw red flesh. They are a testament to your endless journey, a map of all the miles you have traveled. The world you walk through is vast and empty. You pass fields that lie fallow, their brown earth turned over to the sky. You see distant farmhouses, a plume of smoke rising from their chimneys, but you keep your distance. To approach a farmhouse is to risk being set upon by dogs, or to be met by a farmer with a pitchfork, ready to defend his property from a perceived threat. You are a creature of the road, and you must stay on it. The sounds of the world are different out here, away from the town. The human noise has faded, replaced by the sounds of nature. You hear the rustle of the wind in the bare branches of the trees, the cawing of a crow as it circles overhead, the distant bleating of a lost sheep. These sounds are lonely, but they are not hostile. They are the sounds of a world that is indifferent to your suffering, and in that indifference there is a strange kind of peace. The wind does not judge you. The crow does not scorn you. But there are other sounds, sounds that do bring fear. As the afternoon wears on and the light begins to fade, you hear a new sound, carried on the wind from the dark woods that line the road, the howl of a wolf. It is a long, mournful sound, a chilling cry that speaks of hunger and the wild. It is a reminder that you are not the only predator out here, and that you are far from the most dangerous. You are weak, slow, and alone. You are easy prey. You quicken your pace slightly, your eyes scanning the trees. You know that wolves rarely attack humans, especially not on a main road. They are shy creatures, wary of men. But you also know that a lone, weak traveler is a different matter. A hungry wolf pack in the dead of winter is a different matter. Fear, cold and sharp, cuts through the dull ache of your exhaustion. You pull your heavy cloak tighter around you, as if the thin fabric could offer any real protection. The road stretches on, seemingly without end. Each bend reveals not a welcoming inn or a friendly village, but simply more road, more trees, more empty sky. The loneliness is a physical presence now, a heavy weight on your shoulders. In the town you are alone in a crowd. Out here, you are simply alone. There is no one to see you, no one to hear you if you cry out. Your existence is a small, fragile thing in this vast, empty landscape. You pass a small, crude wooden cross by the side of the road. It marks the spot where someone died, a traveler perhaps, struck down by bandits or sickness. There are no flowers, no offerings, just the stark, weathered wood. You pause for a moment, your head bowed. You feel a kinship with this unknown person. They too were a wanderer on this road. They too were vulnerable. You wonder if anyone remembers their name, if anyone mourned their passing, or did they too, like you, simply disappear from the world, their absence unnoticed. You say a silent, stumbling prayer, not to God, but to the anonymous soul who ended their journey here. It is a prayer of solidarity, a recognition of your shared fate. The sky is turning a deep, bruised purple. The shadows are growing long, swallowing the road ahead. You need to find a place to rest for the night, a place that offers some small measure of shelter from the cold and the wind and the things that howl in the dark. The road has given you nothing but pain and fear today. It has been cold and long, and tomorrow it will be cold and long again. This is the unchanging reality of your life. The road is your home, your prison, and your destiny, and you have no choice but to keep walking it.
Other wanderers avoid you. As the light begins to fail, you see another figure on the road ahead. It is a man walking in the same direction as you, his pace as slow and shuffling as your own. He is bent over, a bundle on his back, a silhouette against the fading twilight. A flicker of something akin to hope stirs within you. Another wanderer, a fellow traveler, perhaps a moment of shared humanity, a brief conversation to break the crushing loneliness of the day. But as you draw closer, the man glances back over his shoulder. He sees you, and his reaction is not one of welcome. He quickens his pace, his shuffling walk turning into a hurried, limping stride. He puts distance between you, his body language a clear and unmistakable message. Stay away. The flicker of hope dies, replaced by a familiar, weary understanding. You are not comrades in misfortune. You are rivals. You are threats to one another. This road is not a place for fellowship. It is a place of suspicion and solitary survival. You slow your own pace, allowing the distance between you to grow. You understand his fear. No one wants to share what little they have. If you had found a dry place to sleep, would you willingly share it with a stranger who might rob you in the night? If you had a crust of bread, would you split it with another hungry mouth? The honest answer is a source of shame. Probably not. Scarcity makes men selfish. Hunger makes them fearful. You are also competitors for the same meager resources. The next village might only have enough charity for one beggar. The next farmhouse might only have enough scraps for one stray. To travel together is to have your chances of receiving anything. It is a grim and simple arithmetic, the cold logic of the road. And then there is the matter of disease. You look at your own rags. You feel the itch of the lice that you can never seem to get rid of. You think of the persistent, rattling cough,
that has taken up residence in your chest. You are a vessel of sickness, and so is he. To share a sleeping space is to share fleas, lice, and whatever fevers or fluxes you might be carrying. In a world with no medicine, no doctors, no clean water, a simple illness can be a death sentence. To stay away from others is a form of self-preservation. You have encountered other wanderers before. Sometimes you share a silent nod as you pass each other, a brief acknowledgement of your shared condition, but you never stop to talk. You never share a fire. You keep to your own paths, your own lonely orbits. You are like planets of misery, held apart by the gravity of your own suffering. There is also the question of who they are. The road is home to more than just the dispossessed poor. It is also the domain of deserters, outlaws, and thieves. A friendly face could be a mask, a prelude to a knife in the ribs for the sake of your rope or your flint and steel. You have heard stories of men being lured into a shared camp only to be murdered for the rags on their back. The suspicion is mutual. As much as he fears you, you fear him. You are both mysteries to each other, and on the road, mystery is another word for danger. You remember a time, months ago, when you did try to share a space. You had found a ruined shepherd's hut, a small stone structure with a partially intact roof. As you were settling in for the night, another man, old and stooped, had stumbled in. You had both frozen, eyeing each other warily. You had given him a nod, a silent invitation to share the meager shelter. He had taken the opposite corner, his back to the wall, his eyes never leaving you. You had spent the entire night in a state of tense, sleepless awareness, listening to his every breath, his every rustle. There was no comfort in his presence, only a doubling of the fear. When the dawn came, you both left without a word, scurrying away in opposite directions like two startled animals. You learned your lesson that night. Solitude is safer. You watch the other wanderer's silhouette disappear over a rise in the road. You are alone again. The brief moment of connection, of seeing another human in the same predicament, has only served to deepen your sense of isolation. Even among your own kind, you are an outcast. The community of the damned has no community. There is no guild for beggars, no brotherhood of vagrants. There is only a scattered collection of solitary souls, each walking their own path of quiet desperation, each avoiding the other for fear of what they might lose or what they might catch. The loneliness settles back over you, heavier than before. It is one thing to be ignored by the prosperous and the settled. It is another to be shunned by a man who shares your fate. It is a profound and terrible statement about the world you now inhabit. In this world, you cannot even trust your own reflection. You pull your cloak tighter, a gesture that provides no warmth, and continue your slow walk into the encroaching darkness, your only companion, the sound of your own ragged breathing and the crunch of your feet on the cold, hard road.
You pass a village feast you're not welcome at. The road curves, and as you round a bend, a new set of sensations reaches you, cutting through the cold and the silence. First, the light. A warm, flickering glow spills out from the center of a small village nestled in a hollow just off the road. It is the light of a large bonfire, and perhaps torches. It paints the undersides of the low-hanging clouds in shades of orange and yellow, a beacon of warmth and life in the growing darkness. Then,
the sound. It is the sound of human joy, a sound you have not heard up close for a very long time. It is the sound of laughter, loud and unrestrained. It is the sound of music, a lively tune played on a fiddle and a drum. It is the sound of many voices talking and shouting at once, a happy, chaotic symphony. Finally, the smell. Oh, the smell. It is the most powerful and most torturous sensation of all. It is the smell of roasting meat, rich and savory. The scent of fat sizzling and dripping into the fire. It is the smell of baked bread, of mulled wine or spiced ale, of apples and cinnamon. It is the smell of abundance, of celebration, of community. It is the smell of everything you do not have. Your steps slow to a halt. You stand at the edge of the road, hidden in the shadows of a large oak tree, and you look down upon the scene. It is a village feast. Perhaps it is a saint's day, or a wedding, or a celebration of the harvest, meager as it might have been. The entire village seems to be there, gathered in the small square. They are dancing around the bonfire, their faces flushed and happy in the flickering light. Long wooden tables are laden with food. You can see whole roasted chickens, platters of bread, bowls of steaming stew. People are eating with their hands, drinking from wooden mugs, their faces alight with pleasure and camaraderie. You are a ghost at this feast. You are so close you can see the details. You can see a young couple stealing a kiss in the shadows. You can see a group of old men laughing at a shared joke. You can see children, their faces sticky with food, chasing each other through the crowd. You see a whole world of warmth, of connection, of belonging. And you are utterly, completely separate from it. The hunger that was a dull ache in your belly now reawakens with a vengeance. It is a sharp, vicious, twisting pain. Your mouth fills with saliva. You can almost taste the roasted meat, almost feel the warmth of the spiced ale sliding down your throat. The desire to walk down that path, to emerge from the shadows and beg for a scrap, a single chicken bone, a discarded crust of bread, anything. But you know you cannot. You are a specter of ill fortune, a ragged messenger of the world's harshness. To appear at their celebration would be to cast a pall over it. You would be a walking accusation, a reminder of the poverty and suffering that exists just outside their circle of firelight. Their laughter would falter. The music would seem less joyful. You would be met with hostile stares, with fear, with anger. They would see you not as a hungry man, but as a threat to their happiness. The village constable or any able-bodied man would be called to drive you away, back into the darkness where you belong. You would spoil their feast with your presence. So you remain in the shadows, an invisible witness. It is a strange form of self-torture. You are starving, and you are watching a feast. You are freezing, and you are watching a bonfire. You are profoundly alone, and you are watching a community celebrate its bonds. The contrast is a physical pain, a weight that presses down on your chest and makes it hard to breathe. You listen to the music. The fiddler is playing a fast, joyful tune, and the beat of the drum is a happy, driving rhythm. You remember dancing once, a long time ago at a village fair. You remember the feeling of a woman's hand in yours, the warmth of her smile, the easy laughter. The memory is so vivid, so sharp, that it feels like a dream. Was that really you? Was that life ever really yours? It seems impossible now. That man is a stranger, a ghost from another world. The wind shifts, and the smell of the roasting meat wafts over you again, thick and tantalizing. You close your eyes, your stomach clenching so hard it makes you dizzy. You press a hand against it as if you could physically hold the hunger at bay. You cannot stay here. To linger is to invite discovery and to prolong your own agony. You must turn your back on the light, on the warmth, on the food, on the laughter.
You must return to the cold, dark, silent road. With a deep, shuddering sigh, you force yourself to turn away. You take one last look at the scene of joyous life, a picture of a world that has no room for you. And then you turn your back and shuffle back onto the road, into the profound and empty darkness. The sounds of the feast follow you for a while, a faint, mocking echo of a life you can never have, and then they too are gone, swallowed by the silence of the night, and you are left with nothing but the sound of your own footsteps and the gnawing, all-consuming hunger.
A farmer throws you his scraps. The memory of the feast, the smell of it, haunts you as you walk. It has made your hunger more acute, more demanding. Every step is an effort. Your legs feel weak, your head light. The world seems to tilt and sway with your movements. You know you need to find something, anything to eat, or you will not have the strength to keep going. Ahead, you see the faint, welcoming light of a single candle glowing in the window of a small, isolated cottage. It is a humble dwelling, little more than a hut, with wattle and daub walls and a thatched roof. It stands a little way back from the road, surrounded by a small plot of land, a farmhouse. Your first instinct is to avoid it, to stick to the safety of the road, but your hunger is a more powerful force than your fear. The priest gave you porridge, the boy gave you an apple. Perhaps here, too, there might be a scrap of mercy. It is a desperate gamble. The farmer could be a charitable man, or he could be a man who sleeps with a cudgel by his door. You leave the road, your feet sinking into the soft, plowed earth of his field. You approach the cottage cautiously, keeping to the shadows as much as possible. A dog begins to bark, a sharp, frantic sound from within the house. You freeze, your heart pounding. The barking is a dangerous alarm. A moment later, the door of the cottage creaks open, spilling a rectangle of warm yellow light onto the ground. A man appears in the doorway, a hulking silhouette against the light. He holds a lantern in one hand and a heavy-looking stick in the other. "Who's there?" he calls out, his voice rough and suspicious. The dog continues to bark from behind his legs. You know that to remain hidden now is to confirm his suspicions, to seem like a thief. You must show yourself. You take a deep breath and step out of the shadows, into the edge of the lantern light. You hold up your empty hands, a gesture of peace, of harmlessness. "Just a traveler, master," you say, your voice a hoarse croak. "Lost my way, mean no harm." The farmer raises the lantern higher, and the light falls on your face, on your rags, on your pathetic state. His face is weathered and grim, carved with the lines of hard labor and worry. He is not a wealthy man. This small plot of land is likely his entire world, and he is prepared to defend it fiercely. He looks you up and down, his eyes narrowed. The dog growls, a low, menacing rumble in its chest. "A traveler or a beggar?" he snarls. "We've no room for vagrants here. Be on your way before I set the dog on you." Desperation makes you bold. "Please, master," you plead, your voice trembling. "I've not eaten in a day. A crust of bread, a mouthful of water. For the love of God." The farmer hesitates. He looks at you, and perhaps in the flickering lantern light, he sees something more than just a vagrant. Perhaps he sees the desperation in your eyes. Perhaps he sees a fellow man, albeit a fallen one. Or perhaps he simply wants to be rid of you as quickly as possible. He lets out a long, weary sigh, a sound of profound exhaustion. "Wait here," he grunts it.
and disappears back into the cottage, closing the door behind him. The dog falls silent. You wait, your body tense, not daring to hope too much. He could be barring the door. He could be waking his sons to come out and beat you. A minute passes, then another. The cold seeps back into your bones. The door opens again. The farmer steps out. He is carrying something in his hand. He walks towards you, and for a moment you flinch, thinking he is coming to strike you with his stick. But he stops a few feet away. "Here," he says, his voice still gruff, devoid of any warmth. He tosses something onto the ground at your feet. You look down. In the dirt lies a small, misshapen lump of dark bread. It is clearly old, hard as a rock, with a faint greenish tinge of mold on one side. Next to it is a small pile of chicken bones, picked clean of meat, with a few scraps of skin and gristle still clinging to them. It is the refuse from his own meager supper. It is his garbage. You fall to your knees, your hands scrabbling in the dirt. You pick up the bread. It is so hard you fear it will break your teeth, but it is bread. You pick up the chicken bones. You will gnaw on them, suck the marrow from them. It is sustenance. "Thank you, master," you whisper to his retreating back, your voice thick with a strange mixture of gratitude and humiliation. "Thank you. God keep you." He does not turn around. He does not acknowledge your thanks. He simply goes back into his cottage and closes the door. The bolt scrapes shut. A final, definitive sound. The light in the window is extinguished. To him, the transaction is over. He has dealt with the nuisance at his door. He has thrown his scraps to a stray dog, and now he can sleep with a clear conscience, or at least a clearer one. You remain kneeling in the dirt, clutching the moldy bread and the clean-picked bones as if they were treasure. You are filled with a profound and overwhelming sense of gratitude. This gruff, unkind man has saved your life tonight. He has given you the strength to see another sunrise. You do not care that it was his garbage. You do not care that he looked at you with contempt. You only care that you have something to put in your stomach. You find a sheltered spot at the edge of his field, hidden by a hedge, and you sit down to eat your feast. You gnaw on the hard bread, the moldy taste sharp on your tongue. You suck on the chicken bones, your teeth scraping against them to get every last shred of flavor, every last bit of nourishment. It is a sad, pathetic meal, eaten in the cold and the dark. But to you, right now, it is a banquet. It is the taste of survival. And as you eat, you say another thank you, a silent one this time, to the farmer who threw you his scraps and treated you like a dog. You thank him like it's gold.
The sky darkens, and you have no shelter. The small, desperate meal of moldy bread and bones is a memory now, a brief respite in a long ordeal. It has quieted the sharpest pangs of hunger, but it has not given you strength. You are still weary, your body a vessel of aches and exhaustion. And now, a new threat is gathering. You look up at the sky. The last vestiges of twilight have been swallowed by a deep, starless black. A thick blanket of cloud has rolled in, obscuring the moon and suffocating the faint light of the cosmos. The air has grown heavy, still, and unnaturally warm for the time of night. It is the kind of stillness that comes before a storm. A low, distant rumble confirms your fears. It is not the sound of a cart on the road, but the growl of thunder, far away for now,
but drawing closer. The wind, which had been a constant, sighing presence, dies down completely. The silence that follows is tense, expectant. The world seems to be holding its breath. You are completely exposed. The road offers no protection. The fields on either side are flat and open. The woods you passed earlier are too far back, and to enter them in the pitch black is to risk a fall, a broken bone, or getting hopelessly lost. You need to find shelter, and you need to find it now. Panic, an emotion you try to keep buried in your mind, begins to prick at the edges of your mind. You scan the darkness around you, your eyes straining to make out any shape, any structure that might offer a refuge. A ruined wall? An abandoned hut? A cave? But there is nothing. Only the endless, empty road and the dark, looming shapes of trees and hedges. The first drop of rain falls. It is large and cold, and it lands on your cheek with a startling slap. Another follows, then another. Within moments, a steady, relentless drizzle has begun. It is a cold, miserable rain, the kind that seems to seep into your very soul. Your thin cloak, already damp from the day, quickly becomes saturated. The water begins to drip from your hair into your eyes and runs in cold rivulets down your neck and back. The thunder rumbles again, closer this time, a deep, vibrating growl that you feel in your chest. A flash of lightning briefly illuminates the landscape, transforming the world into a stark, monochrome photograph. For a fleeting second, you see the road, slick and black, the skeletal branches of the trees reaching like desperate arms to the sky, the glistening fields, and then the darkness rushes back in, deeper and more absolute than before. You are walking faster now, a desperate stumbling gait. The rain is coming down harder, turning the muddy road into a treacherous slurry. Your rag-wrapped feet slip and slide, and you have to fight for your balance with every step. The cold is becoming unbearable. A wet cold is far worse than a dry one. It leaches your body heat with terrifying efficiency. Shivers begin to rack your body, violent, uncontrollable spasms that shake you from head to toe. You have to get out of the open. To be caught on the road in a thunderstorm is not just uncomfortable, it is dangerous. The lightning is a real threat. You are a solitary, upright figure in a flat landscape. You are a target. Your desperate eyes finally catch on something, a dark, low shape just off the road. It's not a building. It's a large, thick bush, or perhaps a small thicket of them, growing against a low stone wall that marks the boundary of a field. It is not much. It is not a roof. It is not a home. But it is something. It is better than nothing. You stumble off the road, your feet sinking into the mud. You push your way into the thicket, the wet branches scratching your face and hands, snagging on your rags. You crawl on your hands and knees, pushing deeper until you are huddled at the base of the stone wall with the dense canopy of leaves and branches above you. It is not dry here. The rain still finds its way through, dripping on you in a steady, maddening rhythm. But it is better. The force of the downpour is broken by the leaves. The wind, which had been a constant, sighing presence, is blunted by the wall and the bush. It is a small, pathetic pocket of relative calm in the midst of the storm's fury. You curl into a tight ball, your knees drawn up to your chest, your arms wrapped around your legs. You are trying to conserve every last scrap of body heat. Your teeth are chattering so hard you fear they will break. The cold is a living thing, a predator that is slowly, methodically devouring you. The storm unleashes its full power. The thunder is no longer a distant rumble, but a deafening crash that seems to split the sky right above your head. The lightning flashes again and again, its brilliant, strobing light penetrating your pathetic shelter. In those brief,
terrifying moments of illumination. You see the thrashing branches, the cascading rain, the stark gray stones of the wall just inches from your face. You lie there, shivering and miserable, and you wait. There is nothing else to do. You cannot fight the storm. You cannot reason with it. You are a small, insignificant creature at the mercy of immense, indifferent forces. You are no different than a field mouse hiding in its burrow or an ant washed away by a torrent. You close your eyes and retreat into yourself, into the deepest, most fortified part of your mind. You focus on the rhythm of your own breathing, on the thumping of your own heart. You are still alive. You are still breathing. You have found a scrap of shelter. It is a grim and desperate kind of resilience, but it is resilience all the same. You curl under a bush, a forgotten man, in a forgotten corner of the world, and you wait for the sky to empty its rage, for the long, cold, wet night to pass.
You're coughing blood, but there's no help. The storm eventually exhausts itself. The thunder recedes into the distance, a sullen, retreating grumble. The torrential downpour softens into a steady, persistent drizzle, and then, finally, it stops. The silence that follows is profound, broken only by the sound of water dripping from the leaves of the bush onto the sodden ground around you. You do not move for a long time. Your body is stiff, locked into the fetal position you adopted to fight the cold. Every muscle aches. The wet rags you call clothes cling to you like a death shroud, and the cold has settled deep into your bones, a permanent, immovable resident. You feel a deep, penetrating chill that no amount of shivering seems to touch. Slowly, painfully, you uncurl yourself. A low moan escapes your lips as your joints protest. You crawl out from under the bush, your hands and knees sinking into the soft, cold mud. The world is a landscape of black and gray, washed clean by the rain. A faint, watery moonlight filters through a break in the clouds, casting a pale, ghostly light on the wet road and the glistening fields. A cough begins to build in your chest. It starts as a small tickle, but quickly grows into a powerful, racking spasm. You bend over, your body convulsing with the force of it. It is a deep, wet, ugly sound, the sound of a sickness that has taken root in your lungs. You've had this cough for weeks, but it has grown worse with every cold night, every damp sleeping place. The storm seems to have given it new life, new strength. The fit of coughing is so violent it leaves you breathless, dizzy. You lean against the cold, wet stone wall for support, gasping for air. And then you feel a warm, wet trickling at the corner of your mouth. You raise a trembling, muddy hand to your lips. In the pale moonlight, you can see the dark stain on your fingers. It is not saliva. It is not phlegm. It is blood. You stare at the stain on your hand, and a cold, calm certainty settles over you. It is a feeling beyond fear, a quiet, resigned knowledge. This is not a simple cough. This is not a passing illness. This is something deep, something rotten, something that is eating you from the inside out. Consumption, they call it, the wasting sickness. You have seen it before in your old village. You have seen the flushed cheeks, the bright eyes, the relentless cough, the slow, steady decline. You know how this story ends. There is no help for you. The very idea is absurd. Who would you turn to? A doctor? Doctors are for the wealthy, for lords and merchants who can pay in silver. They would not waste their precious herbs and arcane knowledge on a nameless vagrant. A village healer? A wise woman? She might have some remedies, some poultices or infusions, but she would want payment. A chicken, a loaf of bread, a day's labor. You have nothing to give. And besides, she would likely see you as a source of contagion, a threat to the health of her village, and would drive you away with curses. You could go to a monastery, to the monks who are sworn to care for the sick,
but their infirmaries are for their own brothers or for pilgrims and travelers of good standing. They are not for ragged beggars who appear at their gates coughing up blood. They would see you as a liability, a source of pestilence. They might offer you a prayer, a final blessing, but they would not offer you a bed. They would not let you die within their clean, orderly walls. And so you are utterly, completely alone with this sickness. It is your secret, your final, fatal companion. There is no one to comfort you, no one to bring you a cup of water, no one to wipe the sweat from your brow. There is no one to witness your decline, no one to mark your passing. Your name is not known. If you were to die here, on this road, your body would be found by a traveler, or perhaps not found at all, and you would be buried in an unmarked grave, another anonymous soul lost to the world. Sickness makes you invisible in a new and more profound way. When you were just hungry and poor, you were an object of scorn, of pity, of fear, but you were still, in some sense, part of the human world. Now, with this disease, you have crossed a new threshold. You are no longer just an outcast. You are unclean. You are a walking death, a specter that people will shrink from with a primal terror. Your isolation, which was once a social condition, is now a biological one. Another fit of coughing seizes you, this one even more violent than the last. You press your hand to your mouth, trying to stifle the sound, trying to hold the sickness inside you. More blood, warm and slick, coats your fingers. You feel a profound weakness wash over you, a weariness so deep as if your bones are turning to water. You slide down the wall and sit in the mud, your head lolling on your chest. You are a man with a death sentence, but there is no judge, no executioner, no sympathetic priest. There is only the slow, internal, inevitable process of your own body betraying you. You are coughing blood, but there is no help. Sickness means nothing when no one remembers your name. You sit in the cold, wet darkness under a broken sky, and you feel the life seeping out of you, one ragged breath, one bloody cough at a time. And no one in the world knows or cares.
Justice without witnesses. There is no trial. There is no judge. There are only the angry faces, the rough hands, the hard, unyielding certainty of your guilt. The mob is the judge, the jury, and the executioner. Their justice is swift, brutal, and requires no proof beyond your ragged appearance. You are dragged back towards the village square, your feet stumbling, your arms twisted behind your back by strong, calloused hands. "I'm innocent," you plead, the words a desperate, useless mantra. "Please, listen to me." But your voice is drowned out by their jeers and curses. They are not interested in your words. They're interested in punishment. They shove you against the rough wooden post of the village stocks. The cold, damp wood presses against your back. A man, the one who first accused you, stands before you, his face inches from yours. His breath is sour, his eyes filled with a cruel light. "Think you can come to our village and steal from us, do you?" He spits, his spittle landing on your cheek. "We'll teach you what we do with thieves here." You do not have the strength to answer. You can only shake your head, a gesture of denial that they ignore. The beating begins. It is not a calculated, methodical punishment. It is the chaotic, furious expression of their rage. A fist slams into your stomach, knocking the wind from your lungs and sending a jolt of fiery pain through your body. You double over, gasping, but they hold you up. Another blow, this time to your face. You taste blood in your mouth again, fresh and coppery, mixed with the dirt and grime of your skin. A flash of light, and then darkness as your head snaps back against the post. The pain is overwhelming, a red, roaring wave that consumes all thought. It is not just the physical agony. It is the profound, soul-crushing injustice of it. You are being beaten for something you did not do by people who refuse to listen, who have already decided your fate. You have no voice, no coin, and no protector. You are utterly, completely at their mercy, and they have none. They kick you when you are on the ground. A boot connects with your ribs, and you hear a sickening crack. Feel a sharp, piercing pain that takes your breath away. You curl into a ball trying to protect yourself, but the blows keep coming from all directions. They are ticking a dog, a sack of grain, an object. They are no longer kicking a man. They have stripped you of your humanity, and in doing so, they have lost some of their own. You are not sure how long it lasts. Time loses its meaning. There is only the pain, the shouts, the thud of blows landing on your body. Your mind begins to retreat, to detach itself from the suffering. You float in a dark, hazy space, observing the scene from a distance, as if it is happening to someone else. You hear the grunts of the men as they exert themselves, the wet, ugly sound of their fists and feet hitting flesh. Then a new voice cuts through the din. It is an older voice, one of authority. "That's enough. Stop it. You'll kill him." The blows slow, then stop. Through a swelling eye, you see an old man, perhaps the village elder or priest, pushing his way through the crowd. He is holding a lantern high. What is the meaning of this? This is not justice. This is a lynching. The man who led the attack, the bearded farmer, steps forward, breathing heavily. "He's a thief, Father. We caught him." "You caught him doing what?" the old man asks, his voice sharp. "Did anyone see him take anything? Did you find the stolen goods on him?" There is a moment of silence. They have not searched you. They did not need to. They were sure. One of the men, perhaps feeling a flicker of doubt, roughly pats down your rags. He finds your small leather pouch. He opens it and empties the contents onto the ground. The smooth river stone, the worn flint and steel, the half-eaten bruised apple given to you by a child, the moldy crust of bread, and the clean-picked chicken bones from the farmer. This is the sum total of your worldly possessions. There is no stolen silver, no purloined goods, just the pathetic evidence of your poverty. The crowd is silent now. The fire of their rage has cooled, replaced by a sullen, shuffling uncertainty. They look at the pitiful collection of items on the ground. They look at your broken, bleeding form. They have beaten a man half to death for the crime of owning an apple and some garbage. "This is not a thief," the old man says, his voice heavy with condemnation. "This is a beggar, a poor, starving soul. You should be ashamed." No one speaks. No one meets your eye. The shame is a palpable thing in the air now, thick and uncomfortable. They have been caught in an act of savage, pointless cruelty. "Get him out of here," the old man says, his voice weary. "Take him to the edge of the village and leave him, and pray God forgives you for what you have done tonight." They do not apologize. They do not offer help. They simply want you gone, a living testament to their brutal mistake. Two men hoist you to your feet. The pain is excruciating. Every movement sends a fresh wave of agony through your body. Your broken rib grinds with every breath. They drag you, half-conscious, to the edge of the village, to the same spot where they found you, and there they drop you in the mud and walk away, their lanterns disappearing back into the darkness, leaving you alone. You lie in the filth, a broken, discarded thing. You have been beaten for nothing. The real thief is long gone, and you have paid the price for his crime. There were no witnesses to your innocence, only to your supposed guilt. This is the justice of the road, the justice for the friendless and the voiceless. It is a justice without mercy, without reason, and without hope.
Night falls again, and you hide from the wind. Night has fallen again, or perhaps it is the same night. Time has become a fluid, painful thing, a river of darkness punctuated by bursts of agony. You lie in the mud where the villagers left you, and for a long time you do not move. To move is to invite a new wave of pain from your bruised and broken body. The sharp, grinding protest of your cracked rib is a constant, sickening reminder of the mob's fury. Your head throbs with a dull, heavy ache, and one of your eyes is swollen completely shut. But you cannot stay here. The cold is a more patient and more certain killer than any mob. The rain has stopped, but the ground is saturated, and the dampness is seeping through your rags, stealing what little warmth your battered body has left. The wind has picked up again, a low, mournful sigh that cuts through your wet clothes and makes you shiver uncontrollably. You know, with a clarity that cuts through the fog of pain, that if you lie here in the open until dawn, you will not see the sun rise. You will be a frozen corpse for the village dogs to find in the morning. Survival is a deep, primal instinct, a stubborn fire that flickers even in the most broken vessel. It forces you to move. Slowly, with a groan that is more animal than human, you begin to push yourself up. The pain is blinding. Every muscle screams. You get to your hands and knees, your body trembling with the effort. You stay there for a moment, breathing in shallow, careful gasps, trying not to jostle your broken rib. The world sways around you. You need shelter. You need to get out of the wind. You begin to crawl. You cannot walk. Your legs will not support you. So you crawl, like a wounded animal, away from the village, away from the place of your torment. You drag yourself through the mud, your hands sinking into the cold slime, your rags heavy with filth. It is a slow, agonizing journey of a few hundred feet that feels like a mile. Your eyes, or rather your one good eye, scans the darkness, searching for any shape that promises refuge. And then you see it, a dark, sagging silhouette against the slightly less dark sky. A barn. It is old, dilapidated, standing alone at the edge of a fallow field. Its roof is sway-backed, and there are gaps in its wooden walls. But it is a structure. It is a promise of shelter from the wind. It takes you an eternity to reach it. You crawl, you rest, you crawl again. The pain is your constant companion, but the hope of shelter is a small flickering candle that pulls you forward. Finally, your hand touches the rough, weathered wood of the barn wall. You have made it. You pull yourself along the wall until you find an opening, a place where the large barn door hangs askew on its hinges, leaving a gap just wide enough for you to squeeze through. You drag your broken body inside and collapse onto the earthen floor. The difference is immediate and profound. The wind, which had been your tormentor, is gone. The air inside is still, heavy and thick with the smells of old hay, animal manure, and dry, dusty earth. It is the smell of sanctuary. It is the most beautiful smell in the world. Your eyes slowly adjust to the deep darkness of the interior. Faint shafts of moonlight pierce the gaps in the roof, creating small pools of pale light on the floor. The barn is vast and empty. There are no animals here now, no horses, no cows. It is an abandoned, forgotten place.
But in one corner, there is a gift from God. A huge, sprawling pile of old hay. You begin to crawl again, your last reserves of strength focused on this one final goal. You drag yourself across the floor, leaving a muddy trail behind you until you reach the hay pile. It is dry. It is soft. It is a mountain of insulation and comfort. With a final desperate effort, you burrow into it. You push your way into the center of the pile. The dry, dusty stalks scratching your skin, but you do not care. You cover yourself completely, creating a warm, dark nest, a womb of hay. The relief is absolute. The biting wind is gone. The dampness of your clothes is slowly being counteracted by the dry warmth of the hay. The shivering begins to subside. The pain in your body is still there, a deep, throbbing ache, but it is muted now, softened by the cocoon of your hiding place. You lie still, listening to the sound of the wind howling outside the barn walls. It sounds distant now, impotent. It cannot reach you here. You are safe, you are hidden. It smells of animals, of a life that once filled this barn. You can almost hear the soft stamping of hooves, the gentle chewing of cud. It is a comforting, pastoral ghost. You are not in a house, not in a bed. You are in a pile of hay in a ruined barn, a broken man hiding from the world. But it is the most comfort, the most security you have felt in a very long time. Night has fallen again, and you have hidden from the wind. You have survived the storm. You have survived the mob. You have found a refuge. For tonight, that is enough. It is more than enough. In the warm, dark, dusty silence of the hay, you let your consciousness drift away, not into sleep, but into a deep, healing darkness, a blessed state of oblivion.
A child stares at you with curiosity. You wake to the sound of birdsong. It is a cheerful, insistent sound, a stark contrast to the landscape of pain that is your body. The light is different too. It is not the pale, ghostly moonlight of the night, but the bright, clear light of a new day, slicing through the gaps in the barn walls and roof in sharp golden beams filled with dancing dust motes. You are still buried in the hay, a creature in its nest. The warmth you found here has been a balm. The shivering has stopped, and while the cold has not vanished, it has retreated to a dull, manageable ache. You feel as if you have slept for 100 years, though you know it was only a few hours. It was not true sleep, but a deep, exhausted stupor, a necessary shutdown of a body and mind pushed beyond their limits. Slowly, carefully, you begin to emerge from your burrow. Every movement is a fresh discovery of pain. Your broken rib sends a sharp, stabbing message to your brain with every breath. Your face is a swollen, tender mask. Your muscles are a symphony of bruises. You are a wreck of a man, a piece of human flotsam washed up in this abandoned barn. You sit up in the hay, the dusty stalks cascading off your shoulders. The barn is filled with a gentle, hazy light. You can see its vast, empty space now. The high, vaulted roof with its missing tiles, the empty stalls, the earthen floor littered with bits of straw and dried manure. It is a peaceful, forgotten place. And then you see her. She is standing in the wide-open doorway of the barn, a small silhouette against the bright morning light. She is a child, a little girl, no more than 6 or 7 years old. She has a round, serious face, wide, dark eyes, and a tangle of unkempt hair. She is holding a small wooden doll in one hand. She is just staring at you. You freeze. Your first instinct is fear. A child means adults are nearby. Her parents, the villagers, the mob. If she runs back to the village screaming about the man in the barn, they will come for you again. You are too weak to run, too broken to fight. But she does not scream. She does not run. She just stands there, her head tilted slightly to one side, and looks at you. Her gaze is not of fear, or of disgust, or of pity. It is a look of pure, unadulterated curiosity. She has likely been warned about people like you. She has heard the stories about vagrants and beggars. She has been told not to talk to strangers. But in this moment, all that adult teaching seems to have fallen away. She is not seeing a label. She is not seeing a vagrant or a thief. She is seeing a man with a swollen face and torn clothes, sitting in a pile of hay. She is seeing something new, something that does not fit into her small, familiar world, and she is trying to understand it. You remain perfectly still, not wanting to frighten her. You are a wounded animal, and she is a small, unpredictable creature who holds your fate in her hands. You try to make your face look as unthreatening as possible, though with the swelling and the bruises, you probably look like a monster from one of her frightening bedtime stories. A long, silent moment passes between you. It is a strange, suspended moment, a bubble of peace in your world of pain and fear. In her eyes, you are not a problem to be solved, or a threat to be neutralized. You are simply a fact, a man in a barn. She takes a tentative step forward, into the barn, then another. She is slow, cautious, but not afraid. She stops a few feet away from you, her eyes moving over you, taking in the details. She sees the mud on your clothes, the blood caked on your face, the way you hold yourself stiffly to protect your injured side. She doesn't know the word vagrant. She doesn't understand the complexities of the vagrancy laws, of land enclosure, of plague and famine and war, all the great grinding forces that have brought you to this place. She doesn't see a symbol of social decay. She just sees a face, not a label. She sees a person who is hurt. "Did you fall down?" she asks. Her voice is small and clear, a sound like tiny bells in the dusty silence of the barn. The simple, direct question is so unexpected, so innocent, that it almost breaks you. She is not asking what you stole. She is not asking what you are doing here. She is asking if you are hurt. It is the first truly human question you have been asked in a very long time. You find your voice, and it is a painful, rasping whisper. "Yes, I fell down." It is a lie, but it is a simpler, safer truth than the real one. She nods, a serious, solemn expression, as if this explanation makes perfect sense. She looks at her doll, and then back at you. For a moment, you think she might offer it to you, a small, childish gesture of comfort. But then, a woman's voice calls from the distance, sharp and anxious. "Alara, where are you? Alara!" The spell is broken. The child's face clouds with a flicker of fear, not of you, but of her mother's anger. She glances back at you one last time, a quick, furtive look, and then she turns and runs out of the barn,
a small, fleeting figure disappearing back into the bright, sunlit world. You are alone again, but something has changed. The brief encounter has left a crack in the thick wall of your isolation. For a few moments, you were not an outcast, not a criminal, not a ghost. You were a man. You were seen. A child, with the clear, uncomplicated vision of the very young, had looked past the dirt and the rags and the labels and had seen a person. It is a small, fragile gift, but it is a gift nonetheless. It is a reminder that beneath the layers of cruelty and indifference, a simple human connection is still possible. It does not heal your broken rib. It does not fill your empty stomach, but it soothes a deeper wound, the one in your soul. You hold the memory of her curious, unafraid gaze like a precious secret treasure, a tiny spark of light in the vast darkness of your existence.
Your hands are cracked, your teeth gone. The sun climbs higher, and the warmth of the day begins to penetrate the old barn. The immediate crisis of the night, the storm, the beating, the freezing cold, has passed. Now, in the quiet light of morning, you are left with the slow, grinding reality of your own physical decay. This life is not just a series of dramatic struggles. It is a long, slow process of being worn down, eroded, aged before your time. You look down at your hands. They do not look like your hands anymore. They are the hands of an old man, gnarled and weathered, though you know you are not yet old in years. The skin is a landscape of hardship. It is cracked and calloused, with a web of fine lines etched deep into the flesh. The dirt is so ingrained in the creases that no amount of washing in cold streams could ever remove it. Your knuckles are swollen. Your joints ache with a permanent, low-grade pain that worsens with the damp. There are scars, too. A long, white line across your palm, from a time you fumbled with a sharp stone while trying to skin a rabbit you had been lucky enough to trap. A puckered, angry red mark on your forearm from a burn you got by falling too close to your own small, desperate fire one freezing night. Each scar is a chapter in the book of your survival, a permanent record of a moment of pain or a stroke of luck. You run your tongue over your teeth, or what is left of them. There are gaps where teeth have simply fallen out, victims of poor nutrition and the slow rot of decay. The ones that remain are loose, stained, and ache with a dull, persistent throb. To chew anything hard, like the moldy crust the farmer gave you, is an agony. You often have to soften bread in water or spittle, mashing it into a paste before you can swallow it. A simple toothache for a man with a home might be a misery. For you, it is a constant, debilitating torment with no hope of relief. You have seen other wanderers with their faces swollen to grotesque proportions from an abscessed tooth, delirious with fever, and you know that this is a likely future for you. Each winter ages you a decade. The relentless cold, the dampness, the constant battle for calories to keep your body warm, it all takes a terrible toll. You feel your body getting weaker, slower, less resilient with each passing year. The cough in your chest is a permanent resident now. The pains in your joints are your daily companions. Your eyesight, which was once sharp, is growing dimmer, the world becoming a slightly hazier, less defined place. You are a map of your own poverty. Your body tells the story of your life more eloquently than any words could. The stoop in your shoulders is the weight of your bundle, and the heavier weight of despair. The shuffle in your walk is the memory of 1,000 miles on wounded feet. The gauntness of your face, the hollows under your eyes, these are the marks of persistent hunger. You remember what you looked like before. You try to conjure an image of yourself from that other life, the life before the road. You see a young man, strong from working the fields, his face weathered by the sun, not by hunger. His hands were calloused then too, but they were the calluses of productive labor, of holding a plow, of building a fence. They were not the cracked, broken hands of a beggar. He had a full set of teeth. He could laugh without it causing a fit of coughing. He could run without his lungs burning. That man seems like a different person, a stranger from a distant land. The gulf between who you were and who you are now is so vast it seems uncrossable. The road has unmade you, stripping you down piece by piece, taking your strength, your health, your teeth, your name. It has replaced them with weakness, sickness, pain, and anonymity. You are not alone in this. You see it in the faces of the other wanderers you pass on the road. You see the same premature aging, the same physical decay. You are all part of a silent, slow-motion catastrophe, a generation of the dispossessed being ground down into dust by the harsh realities of your world. The lords and the priests talk of sin and laziness, but you know the truth. The truth is in your aching bones, your rotten teeth, your cracked and bleeding hands. The truth is that poverty is a physical assault, a long and brutal war waged against the body, a war that you are slowly, inexorably losing. You sigh, a ragged, painful sound in the quiet barn. There is nothing to be done. You cannot turn back time. You cannot heal your own body. All you can do is endure, to carry this broken vessel of a body with you on the road for as long as it will last. You look at your hands again, these ruined tools that have failed you, and yet have also kept you alive. They are ugly, they are painful, but they are yours. They are the hands of a survivor, and for now, that will have to be enough. Your hands are cracked, your teeth gone. The sun climbs higher, and the warmth of the day begins to penetrate the old barn. The immediate crisis of the night, the storm, the beating, the freezing cold, has passed. Now, in the quiet light of morning, you are left with the slow, grinding reality of your own physical decay. This life is not just a series of dramatic struggles. It is a long, slow process of being worn down, eroded, aged before your time. You look down at your hands. They do not look like your hands anymore. They are the hands of an old man, gnarled and weathered, though you know you are not yet old in years. The skin is a landscape of hardship. It is cracked and calloused, with a web of fine lines etched deep into the flesh. The dirt is so ingrained in the creases that no amount of washing in cold streams could ever remove it. Your knuckles are swollen. Your joints ache with a permanent, low-grade pain that worsens with the damp. There are scars, too. A long, white line across your palm, from a time you fumbled with a sharp stone while trying to skin a rabbit you had been lucky enough to trap. A puckered, angry red mark on your forearm from a burn you got by falling too close to your own small, desperate fire one freezing night. Each scar is a chapter in the book of your survival, a permanent record of a moment of pain or a stroke of luck. You run your tongue over your teeth, or what is left of them. There are gaps where teeth have simply fallen out, victims of poor nutrition and the slow rot of decay. The ones that remain are loose, stained, and ache with a dull, persistent throb. To chew anything hard, like the moldy crust the farmer gave you, is an agony. You often have to soften bread in water or spittle, mashing it into a paste before you can swallow it. A simple toothache, for a man with a home, might be a misery. For you, it is a constant, debilitating torment with no hope of relief. You have seen other wanderers with their faces swollen to grotesque proportions from an abscessed tooth, delirious with fever, and you know that this is a likely future for you. Each winter ages you a decade. The relentless cold, the dampness, the constant battle for calories to keep your body warm, it all takes a terrible toll. You feel your body getting weaker, slower,
less resilient with each passing year. The cough in your chest is a permanent resident now. The pains in your joints are your daily companions. Your eyesight, which was once sharp, is growing dimmer, the world becoming a slightly hazier, less defined place. You are a map of your own poverty. Your body tells the story of your life more eloquently than any words could. The stoop in your shoulders is the weight of your bundle, and the heavier weight of despair. The shuffle in your walk is the memory of 1,000 miles on wounded feet. The gauntness of your face, the hollows under your eyes, these are the marks of persistent hunger. You remember what you looked like before. You try to conjure an image of yourself from that other life, the life before the road. You see a young man, strong from working the fields, his face weathered by the sun, not by hunger. His hands were calloused then too, but they were the calluses of productive labor, of holding a plow, of building a fence. They were not the cracked, broken hands of a beggar. He had a full set of teeth. He could laugh without it causing a fit of coughing. He could run without his lungs burning. That man seems like a different person, a stranger from a distant land. The gulf between who you were and who you are now is so vast it seems uncrossable. The road has unmade you, stripping you down piece by piece, taking your strength, your health, your teeth, your name. It has replaced them with weakness, sickness, pain, and anonymity. You are not alone in this. You see it in the faces of the other wanderers you pass on the road. You see the same premature aging, the same physical decay. You are all part of a silent, slow-motion catastrophe, a generation of the dispossessed being ground down into dust by the harsh realities of your world. The lords and the priests talk of sin and laziness, but you know the truth. The truth is in your aching bones, your rotten teeth, your cracked and bleeding hands. The truth is that poverty is a physical assault, a long and brutal war waged against the body, a war that you are slowly, inexorably losing. You sigh, a ragged, painful sound in the quiet barn. There is nothing to be done. You cannot turn back time. You cannot heal your own body. All you can do is endure, to carry this broken vessel of a body with you on the road for as long as it will last. You look at your hands again, these ruined tools that have failed you, and yet have also kept you alive. They are ugly, they are painful, but they are yours. They are the hands of a survivor, and for now, that will have to be enough.
You were someone once. The quiet of the barn, the relative warmth of the hay, the brief, innocent encounter with the child, all these things conspire to create a space for memory. Out on the road, your mind is usually a blank, a canvas of immediate needs, food, warmth, safety. There is no room for the past. The past is a luxury, a dangerous indulgence that can soften you, fill you with the grief that you cannot afford to carry. But here, in this temporary sanctuary, the walls of your defense grow thin, and a memory, soft and unbidden, slips through. It is not a dramatic memory. It is not the memory of the catastrophe that set you on this path, the failed harvest, the plague that took your family, the Lord who enclosed the common lands and turned you out. Those memories are too sharp, too painful. They are locked away in a dark, cold place in your mind. No, this is a softer, gentler memory, a memory of an ordinary day. You were someone once. You were a husband, a father. The memory is of an evening in late summer. The sun is setting, casting a long golden light over the small field behind your cottage. The air is warm and smells of cut grass and damp earth. You were sitting on a rough wooden bench you made yourself, just outside the door. Your back is tired from a long day of reaping, but it is a good, honest tiredness. The kind of tired that comes from productive work, from providing for your family. Your wife Elspeth is beside you. You can see her so clearly. Her face is not beautiful in the way a lady of the court is beautiful. Her face is lined from work and worry. Her hands are rough, but to you she is the most beautiful woman in the world. She is mending one of your tunics, her head bent over her work, her needle moving with a quick, practiced skill. She is humming a quiet tune, a simple folk song that you both know. Your son, a small boy of 4 named Thomas, is playing in the dirt at your feet. He has a collection of smooth stones and is arranging them in a line, chattering to them as if they were his companions. He is a sturdy little boy, with his mother's dark eyes and your own stubborn chin. He looks up at you and grins, a wide, joyful, gap-toothed grin, and your heart swells with a love so fierce it is almost a physical pain. This is all the memory is, a quiet domestic scene, a moment of profound and simple peace. There is no great event, no high drama. There is only the feeling of contentment, of belonging, of being exactly where you are supposed to be in the world. You are a man with a place. You have a home, a family, a purpose. Your life is hard, yes. There's always the worry of a bad harvest, of sickness, of the Lord's demands. But in this moment, none of that matters. There's only the warmth of the setting sun, the sound of your wife's humming, the sight of your son playing at your feet. As the memory plays out in your mind, you feel a warmth spreading through your chest that has nothing to do with the hay or the sun. It is the warmth of a love that you thought was long dead and buried. You can almost feel the weight of Elspeth's shoulder leaning against yours. You can almost smell the scent of her hair. You can almost hear the sound of Thomas's laughter. And then, inevitably, the memory fades. The golden light is replaced by the dusty gloom of the barn. The sound of humming is replaced by the silence of your solitude. The warmth in your chest is replaced by a deep, hollow ache. Grief, the grief you have kept at bay for so long, washes over you. It is a physical thing, a wave that makes you gasp for breath, that makes your broken body tremble. Tears, hot and unfamiliar, well up in your one good eye and spill down your bruised and dirty cheek. You do not sob. You do not make a sound. The tears fall in silence, a quiet testament to a loss so profound it has unmade your world. You were someone once. You were not a vagrant. You were not a beggar. You were not a thief. You were a husband and a father. You had a name that was spoken with love. You had a home. You had a life. The world took it all away from you. It took Elspeth. It took Thomas. It took your home, your land, your name. It left you with nothing but the rags on your back and a road that goes on forever. The pain of the memory is excruciating. It is a fresh wound laid on top of all your other physical and emotional injuries. And yet there is something else there too, a flicker of something that is not pain. It is a strange, sad kind of gratitude. You are grateful for the memory itself. It is a proof that life was real, that you did love and were loved, that you did experience that simple, profound peace, if only for a short time. The world can take everything from you. It can take your health, your home, your family, but it cannot take the memories. They are yours. They are a part of you. They are a secret, hidden treasure, a reminder that even now, broken and alone in a ruined barn, you are still the man who sat on that bench in the golden light of a summer evening with his family. You were someone once, and in the deepest, most hidden part of your soul, you still are.
You find an abandoned chapel. You cannot stay in the barn forever. The child's mother knows she was here. It is only a matter of time before curiosity or suspicion brings someone to investigate. You are too weak to face another confrontation. You must move on. You gather yourself, a slow and painful process. You drink from a puddle of rainwater that has collected in a hollow of a stone, the water murky but life-giving. You adjust the rags on your feet. You take one last look at the hay pile that was your sanctuary, a silent thank you to the abandoned place, and you slip back out into the world. You keep away from the road, moving through the fields and the edges of the woods. Your progress is slow, a painful limping shuffle. Every step sends a jolt of pain through your broken rib. You have to stop often, leaning against a tree to catch your breath, your head spinning with weakness and pain. The day wears on. The sun moves across the sky. You are driven by a single, simple need: to find another place of shelter before night falls again. Another barn, another ruin, anything to protect you from the night's cold. As the afternoon light begins to soften and lengthen, you stumble upon it. It is deep in a small overgrown wood, almost completely hidden by ivy and ancient gnarled trees. It is a small building, made of stone with a steeply pitched roof and a small empty bell tower. It is a chapel, an abandoned chapel. It has clearly not been used for a very long time. The path leading to it is completely overgrown. The wooden door hangs open on one rusted hinge. The roof has holes in it, and the ivy has crept inside, its green tendrils snaking across the stone floor and up the walls. You step inside. The air is cool and damp and smells of earth, moss, and decaying wood. It is a place of profound and holy neglect. Light filters down from the holes in the roof, illuminating a scene of quiet ruin. The small wooden pews are overturned and covered in moss. The altar is a simple stone slab, green with algae. The place has been stripped of anything of value long ago. There are no brass candlesticks, no silver chalice, no embroidered altar cloths. But there is not entirely empty. On the altar, someone has left a small, stubby remnant of a candle. It is a simple tallow candle, the kind a poor farmer might use. Perhaps another wanderer, like you, found this place and left it behind. Or perhaps a local person still comes here, to this forgotten, unconsecrated place, to light a candle and say a private prayer. And there is something else. In a small, protected niche in the wall, tucked away behind a curtain of ivy, there is a small pile of dry leaves and twigs. Someone has gathered firewood. This place is a miracle. It is shelter. It is stone walls and a partial roof. It is a refuge from the wind and the rain. And with the candle and the firewood, it is a promise of light and warmth. Your exhaustion is so profound that you almost weep with relief. You collapse onto the stone floor, your back against the altar, and you rest for a long time, just breathing in the peaceful, silent air of the forgotten chapel. As the last of the daylight fades from the sky, you begin your preparations for the night. You take your precious flint and steel from your pouch. Your hands are trembling with weakness and cold, and it takes you many attempts, your knuckles scraping against the flint, before you manage to strike a spark.
But finally, a tiny spark leaps into the small pile of dried tinder you have made. You blow on it gently, coaxing it, praying to a god you are no longer sure you believe in. A tiny, fragile flame lickers to life. You carefully add the smallest twigs, nurturing the flame, watching it grow stronger. Soon you have a small, respectable fire burning in the center of the stone floor, well away from the wooden pews. The fire crackles and spits, a cheerful, living sound in the dead silence of the chapel. It pushes back the darkness, filling the small space with a warm, dancing light. And it pushes back the cold, its heat a blessed relief to your aching, frozen body. You take the small stub of candle and light it from the fire. You place it on the altar. Its small, steady flame is a beacon of hope, a tiny star in your personal darkness. You have no food. Your stomach is a hollow, aching void. But tonight, warmth and light are more important. You huddle close to the fire, your cloak spread around you, and you let the heat soak into your bones. The pain in your body is still there, but the warmth makes it more bearable. You look at the candle flame, you look at the fire, and a feeling you have not had in a very long time rises in you. A feeling of peace. You are safe. You are warm. You are hidden. You are in a house of God, but a God who has seemingly forgotten it. It is a place outside the world of priests and judgments and laws. It is a simple, holy place, made holy not by ceremony, but by the suffering it is now sheltering. You think of the person who left the candle, the person who gathered the wood, a stranger, a ghost, like you. But they left a gift, an act of anonymous charity, of solidarity with the next unfortunate soul that might stumble upon this place. You feel a connection to them, a sense of gratitude that is deep and profound. You do not pray, you have no words, but you sit in the firelight, in the presence of the small, brave candle, and you feel a sense of reverence. A reverence for the shelter, for the fire, for the anonymous kindness of a fellow sufferer. For tonight you have found a sanctuary, a night without cold, a night of peace in the heart of a ruin.
You hear singing from the manor house. The fire in the chapel dies down to a bed of glowing embers, and you drift in a state of semi-conscious warmth, a place between waking and sleeping. The pain in your body is a dull, distant drumbeat, muted by the profound comfort of the shelter. The night is deep and silent around you, the only sound the gentle whisper of the wind through the trees outside. And then a new sound begins. It is faint at first, carried on the wind, a thin thread of music weaving through the silence. You sit up, your head cocked, listening. It is the sound of singing. It is not the rough, boisterous singing of a village feast. This is different. The voices are trained, harmonious, weaving together in a complex and beautiful melody. It is a sad, sweet, and elegant sound, full of a longing that you understand, even if you do not know the words. It is the music of nobles, of the wealthy. It is coming from the manor house. Through a gap in the chapel wall, you can see a light, far away on a hill overlooking the valley. It is a bright, steady light, not the flickering light of a single candle or a torch, but the glow of many, many lights shining from the tall windows of a great stone house, the manor. The seat of the Lord who owns all this land, who owns the fields you walk through, the villages you were driven from, who owns, in a sense, you. You have never been close to a manor house before. They are worlds apart from your own, fortresses of wealth and power, surrounded by walls and guards and an invisible but impenetrable barrier of social class. To you, they are like castles in a fairy tale, places of unimaginable luxury and comfort. The singing grows a little stronger as the wind shifts. It is beautiful.
It is a painful kind of beauty. It speaks of a world of refinement, of art, of leisure. A world where people have the time and the education to create and appreciate such things. A world where warmth is not a desperate daily struggle, but a given. Where food is not a matter of life and death, but a matter of taste and pleasure. Where sickness is met with physicians and remedies, not with a lonely death on the road. You picture the scene inside that house. A great hall with a roaring fire and a massive stone hearth. The lord and his lady, dressed in fine velvets and silks, their faces clean, their bodies well-fed and healthy. Guests, other nobles, listening to the music, their hands soft, their minds untroubled by the primal fears that govern your entire existence. They are sipping wine from silver goblets. They are eating delicate foods from pewter plates. They are living a life so different from yours that it might as well be on another planet. Warmth exists, but not for you. That is the message of the singing. It is a beautiful, melancholy reminder of the vast, uncrossable chasm that separates your world from theirs. They live under the same sky. They walk on the same earth. But you are not of the same species. You are a lower form of life, a creature of the mud and the cold, while they are beings of light and warmth and music. You are not angry. You are too tired, too broken for anger. The feeling is more a profound, hollow sadness, a sense of cosmic injustice, so vast and so old that it feels like a law of nature, like the turning of the seasons or the falling of the rain. This is simply the way the world is. Some are born to manor houses, and some are born to the road. You do not move. You simply sit in your ruined chapel, a beggar in a forgotten house of God, and you listen. The music is a strange kind of company. It is a reminder of your own isolation, but it is also a connection of a sort. You are sharing this moment with them. They are creating this beauty, and you, the unseen, unheard, unknown man in the woods, are receiving it. You are a secret audience of one. The song ends, and for a moment there is silence. Then you hear the faint sound of polite applause, a ghost of a sound on the wind. Another song begins, this one more lively, played on a lute or similar instrument. It is a dancing tune, and you can imagine the fine ladies and gentlemen rising to their feet, their colorful clothes swirling in the firelight. You listen for a long time. You listen until the music stops for good. You listen until the lights in the distant manor house begin to go out, one by one, as the nobles retire to their soft, warm beds, to their clean sheets and their down-filled pillows. You listen until the manor house is just a dark shape on the hill, and the world is silent again, except for the wind. The warmth of the fire has faded. The embers are now just a pile of gray ash. The cold begins to creep back into the chapel, into your bones. The brief shared moment is over. They are asleep in their paradise, and you are awake in your ruin. You pull your cloak around you, curl up on the cold stone floor, and close your eyes. But you can still hear the music in your head, a faint, beautiful, heartbreaking melody. You listen to it until it finally fades, and you are left alone once again, with the profound and utter silence of your own life.
The sun rises on a new day, but for you, it brings no renewal. It only brings a sharper awareness of your own decline. The small fire is long dead. The warmth of the chapel has fled, replaced by the deep, stony cold of the morning. You manage to survive the night without freezing, but the small victory feels hollow. Your body is shutting down. The pain from the beating is a constant throbbing presence, but it is being overshadowed by a deeper, more fundamental problem: hunger. It has been 2 days since the farmer threw you his scraps of moldy bread and chicken bones. Before that, it was the small bowl of porridge at the church. These meager offerings were enough to keep you moving, but they were not enough to sustain you. Now, the reserves are gone. Your body has consumed its last resources, and it is beginning to consume itself.
The hunger is no longer a sharp, twisting pain in your stomach. That stage has passed. Now it is a vast, hollow emptiness, a profound weakness that permeates every fiber of your being. You try to stand, but your legs shake so violently that you collapse back to the floor. The world swims before your eyes, the stone walls of the chapel tilting and blurring. You lie on the cold floor, your breath coming in shallow, ragged gasps. Even the simple act of breathing seems to require more energy than you possess. Your mind is foggy, your thoughts slow and disjointed. They drift like smoke. You think of food. You conjure images of it with a desperate, hallucinatory clarity. A loaf of warm, fresh bread, its crust crackling, its inside soft and white. A bowl of thick, hot stew with chunks of meat and vegetables swimming in a rich gravy. A roasted apple, its skin blistered, its flesh sweet and pulpy. The images are so real you can almost smell them, almost taste them. But they are ghosts, torturous mirages that only serve to emphasize the stark reality of your starvation. You know you should leave the chapel, that you should try to find something. Forage for roots or berries, beg at a cottage door, but the will to move is gone. The connection between your mind and your body has been severed. Your mind can issue the command, get up, move, find food, but your body does not respond. It is a disobedient, exhausted servant that has finally laid down its tools. So you lie there, a prisoner in your own failing body. You are acutely aware of its processes. You can feel the slow, heavy beat of your heart, a tired drum winding down. You can feel the tremor in your hands, the weakness in your limbs. You are a spectator at your own dissolution. You look around the small, ruined chapel. The light is soft, gentle. The ivy on the walls is a vibrant green. It is a peaceful place to die. The thought comes to you not with fear, but with a strange, calm acceptance. The long, desperate struggle is coming to an end. The endless walking, the cold, the hunger, the pain, the loneliness, it is all about to be over. And in that, there is a kind of relief, a release. You shift your position slightly, a monumental effort, and settle yourself at the foot of the stone altar. You sit with your back against it, a final, weary supplicant. You are not praying, you are simply waiting. You sit beneath a great oak, not of wood, but of faith in this forgotten chapel. The world outside continues. A bird sings. The sun moves across the sky. People are working in the fields, laughing in the villages, singing in the manor houses. Their lives go on, completely unaware of the small, quiet drama unfolding in this hidden place. The world will not notice your passing. The great, grinding machine of life and death will not pause for a moment. Your ribs hurt. Your legs shake. You sit beneath an oak in the house of a forgotten god, and you wait for the end. The fight is over. You've been tough. You've been resilient. You've endured more than most men could bear. But even the strongest tree falls in the end, and you are so very, very tired.
No one will remember your name. As you sit at the foot of the altar, your body failing, your mind begins to drift through the wreckage of your life. You think not of the pain and the suffering, but of the simple, overwhelming fact of your own anonymity. You are about to disappear from the world, and there will be no record of your ever having been here. No one will remember your name. Your name. You whisper it to yourself, the sound a dry rustle in the silent chapel. Thomas. Or was it John? Or William? The memory is hazy, distant, like the name from a story you once heard. The man who owned that name, the man who was a husband and a father, who worked a field and lived in a cottage, seems like a different person entirely. The road has worn your name away, just as it has worn away your shoes, your health, and your hope. You have been vagrant, beggar, thief for so long that your true name has lost its meaning. It is a hollow, empty sound. You will not be in the records. The church, the great keeper of records, writes about kings and bishops, about the founding of monasteries and the dates of great battles. It records the births, marriages, and deaths of the landed gentry, the men and women whose lives have substance, whose property gives them a place in the ledgers of history. But you have no property, you have no title, you have no land. Your birth was likely recorded in some small parish church, a brief entry in a book that has long since crumbled to dust or been lost in a fire. Your marriage, if it was recorded at all, is a forgotten fact in a forgotten place. And your death? Your death will be unrecorded. You will be a missing person who was never missed. The chroniclers of the age, the monks in their scriptoriums, write the grand narrative. They write of popes and emperors, of crusades and heresies. They write of the great sweep of history, the story of power, of wealth, of faith. Your story is not in their books. The story of the silent, suffering masses, the peasants, the laborers, the outcasts, is not a story they are interested in telling. You are the invisible ink between the lines of their grand histories. You are the silence between the trumpet calls of kings. You think of your wife, Elsbeth. You think of your son, Thomas. Their names too will be forgotten. They exist now only in your failing memory. When you are gone, they will be gone too, their brief, precious lives erased from the world as if they had never been. The thought is a pain sharper than any hunger, a grief deeper than any physical wound. It is the ultimate loss. Not just the loss of your own life, but the loss of theirs, a second death from which there is no recovery. Who will mourn you? There is no one left. Your family is gone. Your village friends, if they are even still alive, have long since forgotten the man who disappeared into the wilderness of poverty. The townsfolk who looked through you will not notice your absence. The priest who gave you porridge has already forgotten your face. The farmer who threw you his scraps would not know your name. The mob that beat you will never think of you again. The child who stared at you with curiosity will grow up and learn to look away, just like everyone else. You are a stone dropped into a vast ocean. The ripples of your life were small, and they have already disappeared. The surface of the water is smooth again, as if the stone had never been. This is the great, terrible truth of your existence. You are not just poor. You are not just sick. You are insignificant. You are a footnote that was never written. In the grand, cruel accounting of the world, your life has no value. You look up at the empty space where a crucifix might have once hung. You think of the stories of the saints, their lives and martyrdoms carefully recorded, their names remembered and revered for centuries. They suffered, and their suffering was given meaning. It was woven into the story of salvation. Your suffering has no meaning. It is just suffering. It is random, pointless, and will be utterly forgotten. It will not redeem you. It will not inspire anyone. It will simply end here, in this dusty, silent chapel. And the world will go on, unchanged
and uncaring. No one will remember your name. You are a ghost, about to be a ghost.
Your last possession is a rock with meaning. Your hand, a trembling bird-like thing of skin and bone, fumbles at the small leather pouch on your rope belt. It is the one thing of quality you have left, the one piece of another man's craftsmanship that has survived your long journey. Your fingers are clumsy, numb with cold and weakness, but they manage to work the tie loose. You tip the contents of the pouch into your lap, the worn flint and steel, symbols of a hope for warmth that you no longer have, the bruised, shriveled core of the apple the boy gave you, its small act of kindness, now just a memento of a world you are leaving, and the rock. It is your last true possession. It is a small, smooth, gray stone, shaped by a river over countless years into a perfect palm-sized oval. It has no monetary value. It could not buy you a crust of bread. It could not warm you or shelter you. To anyone else, it is just a rock. But to you, it is a treasure. It is your only link to the life that was stolen from you. You picked it up from the riverbank on a hot summer's day, a lifetime ago. You were with your son, Thomas. He was only 3 years old. You were teaching him how to skip stones across the water. You were strong then, your arms sure, and you could make a flat stone dance across the surface 5, 6, 7 times before it sank. Thomas was too small. His throws were clumsy, the stones plopping into the water with a sad little splash. He grew frustrated, his lower lip trembling. To distract him, you started looking for treasure. You searched along the water's edge for the most beautiful, most perfect stones. And you found this one. It was so smooth, so pleasing to the touch that it felt as if it had been made by a craftsman, not by nature. You held it out to him. "Look, Thomas," you had said. A giant's tear turned to stone. His eyes, which had been filled with frustrated tears of his own, grew wide with wonder. He took the stone from you, his small, chubby fingers wrapping around it. He held it up to the sun. He believed you. He thought it was magic. He carried it with him for the rest of the day, a precious, secret treasure. That evening, when he fell asleep, it was still clutched in his hand. You gently pried it from his fingers and put it on the mantelpiece of your small cottage. It became a part of your home, a small, simple object that was imbued with the memory of that happy, sunlit afternoon. When the world fell apart, when the sickness came and took him and then his mother, when you were forced from your home with nothing but the clothes on your back, you took the stone. You put it in your pouch. You don't even know why. It was an instinct, a desperate, foolish need to carry a piece of that lost world with you. Through all the long miles, through the hunger and the beatings and the cold, you have kept it. It has been a secret comfort, a hidden anchor. In the darkest nights, you would take it out and hold it in your hand. Its smoothness, its coolness, was a tangible connection to the past. Holding it, you could almost feel the warmth of that summer sun, almost hear the sound of your son's laughter. It was a proof that he existed, that your love for him was real, that your happiness had not just been a dream. It is a rock with meaning. It is heavy with the weight of a memory. It is a vessel for a love that has nowhere else to go. You have hidden it like treasure because it is the only treasure you have left. All the silver of the Lord in his manor house, all the gold in the king's treasury is worth less to you than this small, smooth, gray stone. You hold it in your palm now.
It feels cool against your feverish skin. Your fingers, gnarled and broken, trace its smooth surface. You are dying. You know this. Your body is a ruin. Your name is forgotten. Your life will leave no mark on the world. But this stone is a mark. It is a testament. It says that you were here, that you loved a small boy, that you had a life filled with a simple, profound joy, however briefly. You close your hand around it, a final, weak grip. This is the last thing you will feel. Not the cold of the chapel floor, not the pain in your ribs, but the smooth, solid, comforting weight of a memory. It is the last piece of your story, the final word in your unwritten book, and you will hold on to it until the very end.
Your body gives in before the dawn. The last of the light has bled from the world. The chapel is now a cavern of absolute blackness, a darkness so profound it seems to have weight and substance. You are no longer aware of the stone walls, the altar, the holes in the roof. Your world has shrunk to the small, fragile space of your own body and the even smaller space of the memory you hold in your hand. The cold, which had been a constant enemy, is becoming a strange, numbing friend. It is quieting the pain. The sharp agony in your rib has softened into a dull, distant ache. The fire of your fever has cooled. You feel a great, heavy peace settling over you, a sense of surrender. Your breathing, which had been a shallow, ragged struggle, is changing. It is becoming slower, deeper, each breath a long, drawn-out sigh. There are long pauses between each one, moments of perfect, still silence where the world seems to stop. In these pauses, you feel yourself drifting, floating away from the shore of your own body. You are no longer hungry. You are no longer cold. You are no longer afraid. The great, grinding machinery of survival has finally, mercifully, shut down. There is only this quiet, this stillness, this slow, gentle letting go. Your mind, which had been a fog of pain and confused memory, becomes clear. It is a calm, deep pool. The faces of your wife and son appear on its surface, not as painful ghosts, but as gentle, welcoming presences. They are smiling. They are waiting for you. The memory of the sunlit riverbank is no longer a source of grief, but a promise of reunion. You are going home. You think of the world you are leaving, the long, muddy roads, the hostile faces of the townsfolk, the sting of scorn and the brutality of injustice, the endless gnawing hunger, the soul-crushing loneliness. And you feel no regret at leaving it. You have fought your war. You have endured your sentence. Now you are being granted a pardon. The stone in your hand feels warm. Or perhaps your hand has just grown so cold that the stone's neutral temperature feels like warmth. It doesn't matter. It is a final, small comfort, a connection to a life of love that buoys you as you drift out on this final, dark tide. A faint light begins to bloom at the edges of the darkness. Not the harsh light of the world, but a soft, gentle glow. You do not know if it is real or just a final trick of your failing mind. It does not matter. It is beautiful. You take one last breath. It is not a struggle. It is a release. A soft exhalation of air, a final whispered sigh that carries with it all the pain, all the sorrow, all the weariness of your long, hard life. The breath mists in the cold air for a moment, a tiny, fleeting ghost, and then it is gone. And then
there is silence. The pause between breaths lengthens, stretches into eternity. Your heart, that tough, stubborn, faithful muscle that has beaten for you through so much suffering, gives one last tired flutter, and then it is still. Your body, a vessel that has carried you so far, finally gives in. Your head, which had been resting against the altar, slumps forward onto your chest. Your hand, which had been clutching the small stones so tightly, goes limp, and the stone falls with a soft thud onto the dusty floor beside you. Before the first rays of the dawn can pierce the holes in the chapel roof, before the birds can begin their morning song, your journey is over. It ends not with a bang, but with a whisper. A quiet, solemn, solitary passing in a forgotten place. One last breath beneath a canopy of silent, unseeing stars, and then nothing. You are free.